Hello nerds, welcome back to another video. So to finish off Women's History Month, best month of the year, I wanted to talk about female characters in literature. I wanted to talk about what makes a great female character. We're going to talk a bit about the Bechdel Test, and we're going to be viewing a few female characters in popular fiction. So stay tuned for that. But before we get into the video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and click that little bell icon to make sure you're notified of every new video I post on my channel. So for this video, I wanted to view different female characters and whether they're portrayed positively or negatively, how they are portrayed, etc. But I thought it would be best if I set myself a sort of barometer or a checklist of things that are well liked and that are needed in female characters for them to be considered great female characters and strong female characters. So I decided to go look at the women in my life, my friends, my family, and see what they believed was made a great female character. The attributes, the skills, etc. The first attribute was actually the attribute that came out the most, which is a three-dimensional character. So not just a cardboard cutout of a woman, but they really wanted a full human with their own interests, their own personality, and their own goals, and their own part in the plot. The second attribute, which came out a lot also in my discussions, was an independent woman. Someone who can trudge through their own path, make their own decisions, and most importantly, stand up for themselves when they're being treated unfairly, and know when to stand up and when to stand down for plot reasons. Another attribute that people felt was needed to make a great female character was actually flaws, because a lot of the times women will be perceived as a perfect being, but that doesn't make them three-dimensional, that doesn't make them human, that doesn't make them an actual woman. So they needed flaws to make the character great, and I totally agree with that. However, of course, it is great when we can see the character move through those flaws and try to grow and become a better person as well. But we all have flaws, and it's not something that we're all going to be able to completely get rid of at some point in our life. We'll be going through flaws forever, but the goal is to always strive to be better. Another quality that is looked for in a great female character is not being overly emotional. A character, whether it's a woman or a man, that is crying constantly and does nothing else for the plot or for the story, or has nothing else to do but to express emotion, whether it's extreme sadness, extreme anger, extreme happiness, it's just plain boring. And often it is how female characters are written, especially when they are written by men. So we want to avoid that to make a great female character. And now we move on to the last trait. This one, you might have heard of the not like other girls trait that seemed to really be popularized. I feel like when I was a teen, like, hey, my name is blah, 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 blah. I have pink hair, and it's like pixie dream girl type of thing. And oh my god, I have a vinyl collection. I listen to Nirvana. Yeah, you and the entire world, girl. Like, you're not the only one. They're like, I eat pizza. Oh my god, I wear sweatpants. No, that's just boring and useless. And there's nothing to be ashamed of about liking womanly things and things that other girls like, because girls are awesome. So are women. Just perfection. Chef's kiss, okay? So I don't see why you should be ashamed about being one of us. So that's why the not like other girls trope is going in the garbage. So we want a girl that isn't like every other girl, but that is not afraid to just be a girl and be a woman and be themselves. Another thing I wanted to look at is the Bechdel test. Now, if you don't know, the Bechdel test is a test put on movies, usually, to see if it passes sort of the Bechdel test is supposed to be a feminism test, although it's pretty archaic and it doesn't show if a movie is really feminist or not. But basically, if you don't know, the Bechdel test is defined by having two or more female characters that are named in the story and that talk to each other about something other than a man. And you might think, wait, but Gabriella, isn't that so easy? Just having two women talk to each other about, I don't know, tea or, talking about their favorite animals. Yeah, I agree. Super easy. But you'd be surprised. There are movies coming out in 2021 still that do not pass this test. But the thing is, we don't really have a Bechdel test, or at least not a popularized one, for books. So I wanted to look at books that also have movie components and see if they pass the Bechdel test and what it actually means for the female characters and for the story. Because like I said, Bechdel test isn't the be and end all of feminism and great female characters. Because you'd be surprised at the movies that pass the Bechdel test and the movies that don't. So the first series I wanted to look at is the one, the only Harry Potter series. Because there are quite a few female characters in the story. There is She Who Must Not Be Named, wrote the story, a woman. We won't talk about her. We just will ignore, okay, this is Women's History Month, okay? Trans women are women, okay? So we'll just, I mean, I could do a whole another video or video series about this particular author, but we'll leave it at that for now. We'll explore that again. This is more like a celebration kind of video. But the characters of Harry Potter are quite interesting. I do still love many of the female characters. Maybe not their names. Joe, girl, looking at you, poor child. I'm really sorry. But I have to say, the movies still kind of hold up in the sense that they passed the Bechdel test, except the fourth one. So like I said, you think it's obvious, it's going to be easy having two women talk to each other about something other than a man, but it doesn't happen in the fourth Harry Potter. It does in the book though, because they remove quite a bit of, you know, relationship between women from the book because they were part of a bigger plot, which I'm kind of fine with. But as you can see, Bechdel test, not as easy to obtain as you think. Now, the women characters in Harry Potter, the ones I really want to talk about are Hermione and Ginny, because those are two that we see the most of, except for maybe Luna. But when we look at Hermione, let's look back to what I was saying earlier and what the women in my life pointed out as their favorite trait of a female character. Now, Hermione, definitely three-dimensional. She has her own interests, especially reading, learning, just being overall the best of the best. And that is definitely her own drive, and she's fine with that. She's great for standing up for herself, standing up for others as well. So that's not an issue for her as well. She passes those mini tests. She doesn't care about not being like any other girl. She just cares about being Hermione, and Hermione is all. She even doesn't even care too much about how men perceive her either. In the fourth one, although it is not seen in the movies, in the books, she sleeks down her hair for the ball, and everybody says how nice it is, but after that, she's like, F that. Like, I don't care. I like the way I look, and I'm too lazy to do my hair like that every morning. You know, she doesn't let men define her. You could say that Hermione is also a flawed character, for sure. She can be arrogant, she can be blunt, she can be kind of dismissive, and that's definitely things that she tries to work on throughout the story. She still has a heart, though, and she still has some willingness and to make friendships and to connect with people, but she just doesn't have time for some people in her life. And you know what, girl, I respect that. Take your space, be who you want to be, but sometimes she can be a little harsh about it and a little bit difficult, but otherwise she is, I think, an overall great person. She's not overly emotional. However, I feel like sometimes not being over emotional to some authors, movie directors, and all that can mean being completely stoic. Hermione is neither of those things. She shows emotions when she needs to. She is stoic when she needs to be. She really is able to be a real human and have emotions when she has emotions and display them as a normal human would. Sure, anger isn't always handled well, but that's normal. And also, remember, angsty teenagers full of hormones for the entire book series. So I think this is really realistic, and I think she's a great female character for all these reasons. Another female character in Harry Potter is Ginny Weasley, my personal favorite Harry Potter character. She is strong physically and mentally and magically. She's known as one of the strongest witches of her age. She's shown to be able to capture hexes, and she even uses it against bullies who try to make fun of her. She stands up for her family and for her friends, which I think is great. So she definitely knows how to stand up for herself. She's definitely three-dimensional, and she definitely has some great qualities about her. Of course, there are some flaws. A bit like Hermione, she can be a bit arrogant. She wears her heart on her sleeve. And she can be a little bit harsh with her exes when she's defending people. You know, she's more the fighting fire with fire type of person rather than the pacifist. But she still has her own interest, playing Quidditch, and she's really good at it. She's better than most of her brothers, and she becomes a professional Quidditch player. She's not defined by Harry or any other character in the series. She still manages to be her own person, having 6 older brothers, which I think is pretty incredible. You don't really see that in literature at all. And in movies, TV, literature, it's always like, oh, this girl wants to be strong. She grew up with a million brothers, so that's why she cares about being cool and strong. And I never really felt that from Ginny. I felt like she had her own drive because her brothers weren't necessarily all of them the tough type and all that. Ron wasn't. Fred and George were just busy being Fred and George. So she never needed to follow her brother's footsteps with anything. So I think Ginny is overall a great female character, and this is a win for the Harry Potter category. Now, let's look at another book series that was popular around the same time, Twilight. Now, Twilight, you may be surprised, but all the movies of Twilight passed the Bechdel test. And honestly, you might be wondering why. And I was racking my brain. Honestly, I love you guys. I wasn't going to rewatch the Twilights for you guys, okay? I did enough. Thank you. I've read all of them. Well, I slept through most of New Moon. But I've read all of them, and I've seen the movie multiple times, so I know a few of them where they passed the Bechdel test. In Twilight, you can remember the time that Bella just meets her friends for the first time on the first day. They talk about the journal, like the school journal, school newspaper. You can think about when she goes with Jessica and Angela to look at prom dresses. You can look at when Bella meets Alice for the first time, and Alice says in a very creepy way, like, oh, you know, she smells good. Oh, don't worry, we'll be friends. You know, so you see how that passes the Bechdel test. New Moon, Edward is gone from most of it, so it kind of makes sense that she passes the Bechdel test. Eclipse, I honestly could not tell you how it passes the Bechdel test, but good for her, I guess. Not a great series. Like, I mean, I love the Twilight because I love trash and it's nostalgic. But I mean, it's not the type of movie series or book series that you would be like, oh my god, feminism, yes, oh my god. No, not at all. 0% would agree on that. And it still passes the Bechdel test. So you see, not necessarily winner, chicken dinner for the Bechdel test. So now let's look at Bella Swan as a character. Is she 3-dimensional? Does she have any interests outside of her significant other? Name me one, please. If you can't, please name me one in the comments. Literally no interests. Nothing. Stale bread here, okay? Does she stand up for herself? Not really. To be fair to her, most of the people who are against her are supernatural beings. So as a human, there's not that much she can do. But she could have learned to fight. She could have learned to, I don't know, bow and arrow. They were popular back in the days. I don't know. She could have done something. I mean, this is rural Washington State. She could have picked up a gun or something. I don't know. She could have done something cool, but, you know, she just, like, stood behind Edward and waited for him to do something. So, yeah, she's not very determined. She doesn't seem to really have a passion for school, although I think she's supposed to be a straight A student. I mean, when do you ever see that girl study or care about school in any sort of way? She doesn't really care for her friends either. They kind of seem to be placeholders for when she's bored of Edward or when Edward is gone to God knows where. She's kind of the standard for a horrible, non-dimensional female character. But again, the movie's passed the Bechdel test, so it makes you wonder, what does that mean? It means that the Bechdel test means nothing. That's what it means. But it also means that being a great character in a great female character in a series means a lot more than just being able to talk to people other than men. And I think defining a woman on whether she talks to a man to see if she's great is kind of stupid, because obviously that doesn't work. Now let's look at another book series. On the other side of the coin, let's look at Hunger Games. Now, Hunger Games easily passes the Bechdel test. That wasn't even a question asked to Susan Collins. She was like, Katniss is going to talk to women about things all the time. She talks to her mother, her sister, other contestants, while she's getting murdered by them. She's talking to them. She talks to Effie. Really not a problem. During the entire series of Hunger Games, all the movies passed the Bechdel test, which honestly, that wasn't even a question for me. I fact checked just to make sure, but I already knew it was going to pass because I think Katniss Everdeen is a great, strong female character and is why Hunger Games has the hype that it has and still deserves that hype, I think, because it really was sort of a new beginning when it came to YA dystopian, but also YA female characters. I think Katniss is a great example of a strong female character. She has a lot of flaws, but normal human flaws. And she tries her best to do what she can with what she has, which I think is all you can ask a human to do, and she's delivered. So I'm really happy about that. I think Susan Collins did a great job when it comes to that. And I don't think Katniss is the only strong female character. Prim, her Katniss' sister, is a great female character as well. She learns to become a doctor and help people and all that. I have to say, I haven't read The Hunger Games in 15,000 years, so I don't remember exactly what's from the movies and what's from the books in my brain, but I have to say there's nothing wrong I could say about the female characters in Hunger Games. You got women who have their own goals. You even look at someone like Clover, right? She's a strong female character. She has her drive, she has her will, not because of a man, not because of anybody else. She wants to kill kids. She gonna kill them kids. Of course, spoiler alert, she does, but also loses because, spoiler alert, Katniss's win. But Clover is still her own person who did her own thing, worked with her tools, and obviously had flaws because she was, a child murderer, but, she's still a great female character in my eyes. Now that we reached a new high with Hunger Games, let's look at something dark. Or something darker. You'll get that in a second. Let's look at a book series that shook the world to its core and changed civilization as a whole. The one, the only, 50 Shades series. Look, don't look at me like that. I have not read the 50 Shades book. I have seen the movies because, mentioned, loving trash, okay? When you're bored, you're bored, okay? 50 Shades is, I think by everyone's definition, just a horrible portrayal of women, a horrible portrayal of relationships. Like, anybody who's been in a healthy relationship could tell you, like, that ain't it. But, surprise, surprise, 2 of the 50 Shades movies, 50 Shades of Grey, the first one, 50 Shades Darker, pass the Bechdel test. I know, I dropped that bomb. I'm just gonna walk away. Obviously, 50 Shades of Grey passes the Bechdel test in the most skin of the teeth kind of way. One offhand little conversation. Like, I feel like the director or the screenwriter or whatever, E.L. James, whoever wrote that script, did it by accident. Like, I don't think they were actually trying to make a play for, like, women to be represented and have a conversation outside of their loved ones. But it happens, which is disturbing. I mean, obviously, we can look at Anastasia Steele and know that, no, she is not a great female character. She won't be recognized and hailed as one of the best female characters ever. Never in anybody's existence that will ever happen, okay? Like, if Bella Swan was stale bread, Anastasia Steele is moldy bread. I don't even know. No, you know what? That's too much for her. That's too much spice, okay? Like, she's bland of bland of bland. Somehow she seems to have some sort of interest because she goes to university. That's when the story begins. But goodness gracious me. When she meets Christian, it's like, I wonder what she did before meeting Christian, because honestly, I think Christian Grey is the most exciting thing about this girl, which is really sad to say, because I hate defining a woman by a man, but literally, what? Oh, I'm an English major. Fun. English majors are fun. You're not fun. I'm just gonna become an editor in Seattle. Sure, girl. You go do that. You may be white, but it still ain't that easy. Goodness gracious me. Actually, what's really funny though is that 50 Shades of Grey starts out the first movie, the first conversation starts out breaking the Bechdel test. Anna and her roommate, don't even remember her name, don't need to. That's how relevant she is to the story. Asks her if she has all she needs to go do an interview for Christian Grey. She doesn't mention Christian Grey. She doesn't talk about the Christian the person. She says, "Oh, do you have this? Do you have that?" And he passes the Bechdel test straight away. But after that, trust, no conversation is had between two women that isn't about a man, specifically Christian Grey. Okay? Or the roommate's new boyfriend, which is Christian's brother. Spoiler alert. But I don't think anybody cared. Okay? If you wanted to read those books, you would have. If you wanted to see those movies, you would have. Okay? They're on Netflix, girl. Just if you want to hurt yourself, go about it. But you can see that passing the Bechdel test literally means nothing. So I find it so interesting that we talk about it so much. And I find it so interesting that some movies still don't pass it. I mean, 50 Shades Free not passing the Bechdel test doesn't surprise me at all. Like, of all movies, I'm like, yeah, that's the one that won't pass the Bechdel test. But thinking about movies that come out this year, movies that are Oscar nominated, that can't even pass a simple test of having two named women talking to each other about something other than a man? How is that possible that you're not passing this test right here, right now, in this day and age? I mean, we've gone through the Me Too movement. We've tried getting more Asian actors and directors. We've tried getting more just actors and directors of color in general. We've tried getting women to be directors of movies. And you still manage to release movies that are box office hits that don't pass that stupid, super easy 3-step test? Sue me. Like, I don't know. Now, let's talk about another, now this is not a movie series or a book series. This is one single book with a TV series, and that is Handmaid's Tale. So now, they don't really do the Bechdel test for TV shows. I think that would be a little tedious. It's a lot of content. I mean, go ahead if you want to do it for yourself. But there isn't really a database for Bechdel tests for TV shows since it was created for movies. Now, I haven't fully seen all the TV show of Handmaid's Tale. I have read the entire book. My review is in my January-February wrap-up, which I will link up here for you. I thought it would be interesting to see a different kind of story. You see, this is more of a contemporary, still dystopian, but contemporary adult novel made by the great Margaret Atwood, again, written by a woman. All the series talked about today were made by women. That wasn't an accident. But I wanted to see how women are portrayed in more adult literature, since everything else I've talked about is a bit more YA. I mean, 50 Shades is just nothing, so whatever. But I want to see Handmaid's Tale, which is more considered a modern classic and all that. So I have read Handmaid's Tale, and I have to say, does it really, like, if I look at the book as if it was a movie, the book doesn't really pass the Bechdel test, because the book talks about a lot of women, of course, the main character being Offred, and everything is seen through her eyes. And she has multiple conversations with other women in the story. However, the thing with Handmaid's Tale is that all handmaids have changed their name to be the name of the man who owns her. The man for the first name of the man for which she is a handmaid. So the main character is Offred, and she never has a real, woman human name. So now I wonder, if we take this book as a movie, would it technically pass the Bechdel test, seeing as she is named for her male owner? She's basically a slave to him, so does that mean she doesn't really have a name? And the Bechdel test really does say it has to be two female characters that are named that talk to each other. So I'll let you decide that for yourselves, if you think that is sort of a loophole that I'm taking, or if you think it should be seen more simply there is a name, she is a character in the story, and so you say that passes the Bechdel test. Now, like I've mentioned multiple times in this video, Bechdel test means jack squat. However, I think it's really interesting how this test that has been used to view if a movie is made well for women and has sufficient women representation doesn't actually work for a book that is so well seen and such a telling article of how women live in this day and age and has a critical look at reproductive rights. I just think that's, I don't know, food for thought. But otherwise, the portrayal of women in Handmaid's Tale, as it is complicated, I think the character of Fred, other than not having her own name, I think she is her own willed person. She has to survive through a harrowing ordeal, but she still remains keeping her sense of self. She still remains to try to be as independent as she can. She sometimes breaks rules to work as much as possible for herself. I think she is three-dimensional. I think she is intelligent, and although society doesn't allow her to really be independent, she is an independent thinker, which I really found an interesting way of seeing it. As a woman who is basically locked into this role, you would say, oh, well, she can't be independent, but really she's independent minded, which I feel is such a different way to look at it, but I still think is a valid representation of women, because there are so many women in this world who are locked into a position they cannot get out of, whether it is by physical force or societal values, but are still independent of mind. And being stuck in a situation, like being stuck in a situation of abuse, being stuck in a war zone, being stuck in any way, doesn't make you less of a woman and less of a strong woman. Fred also still has her own goals, her own aspirations. She wants to find her husband, she wants to find her daughter, she wants to escape. So, I mean, you know, as sad as it is at a goal, it is a valid goal for her to have. And although it is to find her husband, and it is not because she believes her husband owns her and it's the only thing in her life, but it's because she wants to find what she lost. Those people were taken away from her, and she wants it back and break out of this societal enclosure. Now, obviously, trying to take the not like other girls trope in Handmaid's context doesn't really work, because literally every girl is every other girl in Handmaid's. So I think we'll leave that one more to the side. I think she kind of has to, for a survival reason, be like other girls. But like I said, I don't think being like other girls is usually bad at all, but Handmaid's Tale is definitely a different context. So that is all I have for you today. Agree or disagree, please let me know in the comments. I would love to have conversations with you guys about this. I would love to thank just women in general for being awesome in this Women's History Month. I also really want to thank the wonderful, lovely, beautiful women in my life who have helped me put this video together. I want to thank female authors for writing compelling female characters. You guys do so much for us in a way that some people will not understand, but I think it's so important. And I want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Click that bell icon to be notified of all new videos. All my socials will be linked down below. And of course, if you want to support this channel, you will find my book outlet referral number, which gives you $10 off and gives me $10 off. You will also find my wish list linked down below. My birthday's coming up, so you can send me books if you want, so I can read them, recommend them, analyze them with you guys. So please let me know what you thought down below. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.